Merry Christmas to everybody. Not really, but Christmas to us because it is the NFL draft day. We are excited. This is the FFU. I am joined by Jesse Moeller and Aaron St. Dennis. How y'all doing today, guys?
You made me think I was losing my mind for a second. I was like, wait, okay, no more doing ayahuasca before podcast.
Wait, it's Christmas? Nah, it is. I mean, it is in a sense Christmas. Maybe not exactly for us, but we're gonna have a lot of guys, 32 to be exact. Get a very good present and get the opportunity to play in the NFL or join an NFL team and hopefully play in the NFL, assuming everything goes well in training camp and stuff like that. But what we're doing here today is we're gonna give our predictions on the first round since day one is only the first round, and we're gonna see if how many we get these right and what we can do here with the 101 on the clock being the Chicago Bears. I think, after trading Justin Fields, I think this is a no-brainer. They're going Caleb Williams with this pick.
Before we get into that, don't forget to head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com to check out all of our rookie profiles and follow us anywhere on social media. Like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all that fun shit, and we will get back to you. We are pretty active. We're going to be on pretty much all freaking day. Having said that, come about 8 o'clock right before we start this, I will start drinking, so you may not be getting responses from me. But yeah,
somebody will handle it. Yeah, one of us will handle it.
Every first round pick outside the offensive lineman has a rookie profile. Just to let you know.
We don't care about the big uglies. I hate to break it to y'all. The big ugly guy, that's just not our thing.
We don't care about the big uglies.
They're nice for fantasy, but I don't want to study those guys.
Once they added in fantasy, then we'll start doing profiles.
Yeah, 100%.
When you get points for hey, if they don't allow a sack or if they do a pancake or something like that, right?
Kings,
so
baby. Give me a pancake king. Yes, I will be a sucker for that. 100%. All right, should we kick off this draft?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, Essie, you are on the clock. Sorry.
Yeah, man. I mean, Caleb, man. I was a big person, trade the 101, keep Justin Fields, build around and get some capital. But they traded Justin Fields instead, so they're going Caleb Williams.
There it is, Caleb. All right, so that puts me in an interesting position. I'm the Washington Commanders. I'm picked 2. Now, if this was fantasy, I'm going Jaden Daniels. I know there's been a ton of smoke around Jaden Daniels, but realistically, I just think Drake May is a better quarterback and a much safer quarterback who was doing a lot with very little in that offense. If you watch who he was playing with last year, it was gross. But actually, it's pretty interesting. Both him and Caleb had pretty inferior competition, like the players they were playing with, compared to Jaden Daniels, what we saw, or JJ McCarthy had a really good offensive line and defense. The skill position players, not so much, but yeah, I'm just going to take the guy I think is the best overall quarterback, and that's Drake May, too. I'm not trading down. I'm not doing any of that fun stuff. We're locking in the high-end quarterback, getting Terry McLaurin in a weapon. Hopefully, Jahan Dotson kicks back, and we move forward with this team. So, this will make or break me as a GM. If it fails, I'm getting fired. So, Drake May's the guy I'm betting on here.
Jesse already throwing a wrench into the whole draft board now with Drake May going 2. Let's get it.
Oh, let's go.
Well, that means I am going to also put my coaching career on the line, or GM career here on the line. I am going to follow Jesse's order here, or mantra here, and I am also. Are you scrolling down? Why are you scrolling down?
I'm trying to find him. I don't see him anywhere.
I am also going to take quarterback, and I am going to take the next best quarterback off the board, and the New England Patriots will select JJ McCarthy.
Good. Let's see how far we got.
Is that who you were scrolling down for?
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, Where is McCarthy?
Can you sort by position?
Yeah, you can. I just wanted to do that for effect. Yeah, he's ranked 28th on PFF.
Now,
PFF, not a fan of Mr. McCarthy.
Fuck your PFF.
Now, with this, Aaron, though, there's smoke around that some teams are trying to trade up to 3 to get a quarterback like JJ McCarthy. Is there an interest in possibly a trade here of a team that you think could make some noise to trade up to 3 for New England?
Yeah, there's quite a few teams interested.
If someone sends me an offer, I'm going to tell them to leave me alone, you pancake eating motherfucker. I'm taking my JJ McCarthy. You can keep Drake May and have the bust yourself. I'll pass.
All right.
So 3 choose for JJ does not work. No
way. You can take that.
Do I get Brian Putney? Do I get Putney?
Yeah. All right. So that means SC in Arizona. Now, are you going to do the thing that everyone's thinking about? Take in Marvin Harrison Jr., or are you going to trade down, maybe go offensive lineman? Where are you going?
So this is interesting. With JJ and Drake out, Jaden is a hot commodity here, right? And you think about like maybe the Giants, you think about maybe the Vikings. Like at this point, though, I don't think any teams need to trade up to get him. I don't think the Chargers or the Cardinals are getting him, right? So if the Giants want him there, he'll be there at 6. So I don't feel they're gonna make that move up, and they can save money getting him at 6 rather than 4, right? So I think the Cardinals do take Marvin Harrison Jr. here, get their X, get their guy that's gonna be the top guy for Kyler Murray here, and just lock it in.
All right, so we're gonna get Marvin Harrison Jr. Pretty much it's like the locked in pick there. We're not gonna mess around here. Now it gets real interesting with the Chargers because this team has a lot of needs, and you could take Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt's the best pick for them. I know people love Malik Neighbors. I think he's very good, but I think a high end offensive tackle is more important than a high end wide receiver. Mm-hmm. You're just basically splitting hairs between those two. So I'm not really familiar with how these trades work on PFF, but I'm actually checking this out right now because like you could trade back. It looks like pick 11 here with the Vikings and go that route, but oh no, never mind. Never mind. That's not how they offer. All right, we're just gonna stick a pick because I don't want to do the complicated.
You know what?
Thing, so.
Every time I tried to do a mock on here, the offers I got to trade back look like fantasy football offers, where it was like, here's you get give up the 103, and it's like you get 3 second rounders, 4 5th rounders, a 6th rounder, and I'm like, what? It took me fucking an hour to read through the picks they said, and I'm like, no, thank you, I'll pass. So. Is this
it's interesting.
Now?
This is actually me. I'm going to take them. Yeah, so like you can see the teams that are involved and interested. The Vikings, Broncos, Saints. I don't know what. The Seahawks, I guess, on Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville would be interesting moving up see Trevor Lawrence, but we're just going to take the high-end offensive tackle here, Joel. I think he's the best tackle on the board. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to lock him in, give Herbert someone so he's not running for his life because I know they have Rashawn Slater. The other offensive tackle spot is not so great on that offense. So we're going to take Alt. We're going to lock that in, and then that sends us to Aaron with the Giants, who are in an interesting spot where they can go a bunch of different ways here.
I had the Giants taking a quarterback. And I think after me giving them a gift here, it's even more likely. And I think they take Drake May at 6.
Drake May's gone. He went at 2.
I took him at 2.
Not Drake. No, we didn't. Who went at 2?
Yeah.
Drake May. So it's it's Jaden who's still on the board? Oh,
yes,
you crazy bastard. So it's Jaden. I'll take Jaden.
There you go. Jaden's your guy. You're like,
I misread it. The board's too small for me. I thought you took Jaden at 2. You should be fired. You're right. You took Drake May at 2? Yeah, you're fired. Oh, fuck that. Fuck that. So the Giants just got a gift and got Jaden Daniels.
Do you think Jaden's a quarterback that Dabo's gonna want a type of quarterback for that system that he wants? Because why not take Neighbors here?
Let me ask you this: if your quarterback is Jaden Daniels or Daniel Jones, what would you choose? Suddenly, you don't care about what system you run.
Going Tommy DeVito. You know, that's not even his name. It's not. I don't think it's Tommy DeVito.
It is Tommy DeVito.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not Danny DeVito.
Okay, Danny. Yeah, okay. There you go.
Who cost them? So he cost them this pick. The quarterback slides and Daniels falls right into their lap. So I think
free pizza.
Yeah, right. As a team, this is a pick you kind of have to make. Like you take the quarterback that falls, so you just look
free.
So the first gift in the NFL draft is the 6. Jaden Daniels falling down the 6.
Yeah, that was a gift.
Yeah,
very nice.
I think theoretically, 1 of 4 or 5 moves out, and I think someone moves up in the draft is what's going to happen.
Let's be full disclosure here. I'm multitasking in preparation for tonight and wasn't fully paying attention, and I thought you took Jaden Daniels, not Drake May. Otherwise, the Patriots would have Jaden Daniels, although I think J.J. McCarthy fits the Patriots better anyways. But had I been not multitasking and prepping for our show later, I probably would have taken Daniels, and this would be McCarthy. But either way.
I mean, still getting the quarterback who has high-end range of outcomes. So
regardless, quarterbacks going 3 and 6. I think that becomes very interesting though, because with this scenario though, I don't think if the Giants like McCarthy, they're gonna trade up to get him in the fear of Patriots, possibly taking or someone swooping up to 4th and 5th to get him. But with Jaden falling down to 6 there, I think that's huge for them to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna take that. So
agreed.
Right. So it gets real interesting here with the Titans who have a desperate need at tackle. Where are you thinking going here?
It only gets interesting because you took Joe Alt already.
Exactly. So then it's not the locked in the offense tackle one, right? I mean, there's still good guys on the board. It's just depends on where you want to go here.
I mean, I think they're still getting that. I think you go Latham, JC Latham. Here going it. There we still see our defensive guy off the board, but I think that's the best pick for him right now, especially with Joe Alt. And I don't I love that pick for the Chargers. Going Joel. I think that's huge for Herbert and what Harbaugh's going to do out there. So this is going to be big here, and I think they have to go J.C. Latham. Try to secure Will Levis. They got their wide receiver already. They have an all right defense. They can get some defensive guys later in the draft. So go ahead and protect your quarterback.
Yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. They're the team that when we were looking at the mock odds, I was like, it's just they're locking in a tackle, whichever tackle is available there, because it's such a glaring need for them. You can't have that offense with those skill position players and try to roll out Will Levis with just a non-existent tackle over the line. So it's just you gotta do it. Now
your top few tackles are very close together too. It's not like they're far apart as far as what they can do. So
yeah, because there's like Fuaga's. It's interesting that Latham's getting all the hype lately because he seemed to be the guy that was outside the top, and I've seen recently he's been pushing to 5. So it's like
I had Fashanu and Guyton over Latham.
Yeah, so
even Fuaga's in there for me.
Yeah, like Latham was above. I saw odds on one of the sporting bets. He was the first tackle off the board with the odds, which he's the late riser kind of in the process, and sometimes that really works, sometimes it doesn't. But I just find it really interesting why the media was so behind with him, and then all of a sudden they were steaming him up, which just kind of how it goes. There's always one guy at a different position that somehow comes up out of nowhere. Yeah, this is interesting with the Falcons. The defensive line is a need. Like, I personally think Latu's the best defensive end, even though maybe he doesn't have the high end ceiling that, yeah, I think he's just the safe bet, and he's so skilled, everything he can do, which it might seem a little high, but dude, I'm getting a guy I know is going to be good. Where talk about, like versus these other guys, it's a little bit more of a project with them, and you're more chasing what the Jaguars did a few years ago, where they took the lineman first overall and they passed on Aiden Hutchinson.
Trevon Walker, yeah.
I don't want to chase just traits. Like, I want a guy that's good. So I'm going to take the best defensive end in the board, and I think it's Latu. So I'm going to take Latu for the Falcons right here. Lock it in. They get the high end guy who I feel like you can just plug him. You're getting a skill player. Like, it's you don't have to worry about it.
Shout out John McGlynn because he knows what that is here. Let's go. That's a great pick.
Yes.
All right. That puts me on the clock at 9, and we have, assuming nothing crazy happened, we went Caleb at Chicago for the number 101.
Yes,
right?
we did. Yes, we did.
Malik Neighbors is still on the board.
Not anymore. He isn't. He's on Chicago.
But I'm saying this is interesting because I'm not mad at the way this is playing out. That Malik Neighbors drops to 9 here, and I think this becomes you're gonna take him, but this becomes an interesting thing because I feel Chicago on their boards they've been drafting Dunjay too, just with mocks and stuff. It's like, oh, he may not be there, but now Neighbors is here. You talk about gifts. Aaron's getting all the gifts today.
Gifts, like you're Christmas. Getting the way we've seen it with the tackles getting pushed up, and there's been a lot of smoke the past couple days where the teams are moving up for tackles in this draft. Like, they want the tackles, the high end tackles. Though it's a very strong class, it's just not as deep as the wide receiver class is. So I think it's going to force the teams to really jump up and get those tackles. So it leaves you in an excellent position where you just get Neighbors and just sitting there, don't have to do a damn thing, right? You get Neighbors or Odunze, pick your wide receiver, and you take Neighbors, and that's just glorious.
I don't think the top 10 is going to be as offense heavy as everyone thinks, or fantasy relevant as everyone thinks. I think we're going to see more tackles, and people are underestimating how good this D line class is. I think you're going to see some. We don't have any edge rush. Oh, we do. We have Latu, okay, but I think you're also going to see Dallas Turner. But
yeah, he could be. I think he's going to be up there too.
I think you're probably going to see one less QB go. And probably just 2 receivers. But who's up?
It's the Jets. Yeah, so I would, if I were the Jets with Robert Saleh, if they didn't make the moves they made in the offseason to just get some monsters on the defensive end, on the defensive line, they would definitely take Dallas Turner here. But I think Bowers is a smooth pick here. Go ahead. Oh, shit. Dunjay's still there. Hold on.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like, you have the locked-in wide receiver or you have the tight end. I mean, they obviously could go tackle, but they've tried to adjust.
That's funny. I was going to say, because you want to go Bowers. He wants to go Odunze. I wanted to go with Fashanu or an O-tackle. So we all have a different idea here of what we want to do for the Jets. That's funny.
Yeah, because I think if they could go, like, later in the draft, they could pick the other guy that they don't go here. Because their 2 biggest needs, like wide receiver, it's a disaster. Same thing with tight end. It's just like whatever. And tackle, like, I know they tried to address it, but man, you're betting on old injured guys at tackle where like we haven't seen any of those guys play a full season. So it's like, all right, are you willing to do it again? So
I think
100%.
That's very smart. I think Fuaga, Oregon State,
He's right
because a smart pick, because you have Aaron Rodgers coming off of injury. This is you're in kind of like do or die mode, right? Like you're in as long as Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, you're gonna win now because you want to try to win, and he's the quarterback that can get you there. So you gotta protect him at all costs. So I think that becomes a smart intellectual pick, knowing you can get a Ben Sinnott or a I don't know, like Xavier Legette maybe later, something like that, just to pair it go Wilson. So yeah, I think going here, you go tackle with Fuaga.
So you're gonna go with Fuaga?
Yeah, let's actually do that.
Now this leaves the Vikings in a really interesting spot, and considering the quarterbacks are all gone, the top 4, like I'm not gonna trade up for Penix, or I'm not gonna do the next thing, right?
Well, they have our first.
Yeah, like I don't. This is nice because we have one later. We could do that. Like I think theoretically they're going to try to get one of those guys, but if it falls through, then you just take your best player available.
Is this not a nightmare scenario for the Vikings though?
Yes and no, because you get 2 building block assets going into next year. Where if
but I'm saying, say they can't find, say they're on the clock and all the QBs are gone, and there's no one with it. Yeah, everyone knows you're screwed. You've got nothing, and there's no good trade down offer, and you're forced to make this pick at 11 with the QBs gone. Is that not their nightmare scenario? Like you end up Penix here.
I'm not doing
because I think they could get Penix or Nix at the end with their other first here. So you can save money on that quarterback and still get that 5th-year option. And you're not taking these offensive weapons, Dunze or Bowers, because you have Hawkinson, you have Addison there, right?
So then what do they do if they're not taking a quarterback here?
Dallas Turner is glaring here because he's still there. They got Daniel Hunter's gone, right? So Dallas Turner dropping here is a gift. But I think more so than an edge here, I think they need that corner. So Keon Mitchell.
If you can get Mitchell here, like you lock in a high impact player for them. They need a defensive impact player, like either on the line or on the back end, because they've been atrocious with back end, even though they keep throwing 1st-round picks at it. That's usually later in the draft where they're missing out on their choice of corner. So if you're here and you could pick your cornerback 1, I think it's actually a really good situation for them. And maybe you want to go edge or even D tackle. You get Zahir Newton, right? You get the guy out of Illinois who's really good as well. I think there's a lot of ways they can go. Personally, like I'm just gonna take Quinton Mitchell, who I think is the best corner for them, and just set that position up for like the long-term future.
I know everyone's mocking Keon Mitchell too, which is a great pick, but Terrion Arnold don't. I think that's someone that's right there where I think when they're on the clock there, if they're not trading up to get a quarterback, they're not taking a quarterback at 11, they'll wait for one of them at the later first, and there you're going Keon or Terrion Arnold here.
Yeah, I think Terrion's a good one for them too. It's just really just pick the quarterback you think fits the system best, right? And then you go from there depending on how you want to fit it. Now it leaves Aaron in an interesting spot with the Broncos, right? Because they're kind of in a similar situation where they have a ton of needs. Like their roster's pretty bare. So getting a high-end wide receiver here or like the tight end Brock Bowers, or basically pick your poison on defensive line, like you could do that. So I think it leaves Aaron in a good spot with the Broncos wherever he wants to go.
Okay, are we
quarterback here though?
We're predicting what we think they're going to do, not what we want or think they should do, right?
I mean, I was kind of just doing a little bit of both. If it's like in the situation, I just took the best player available. I was like, I think they're going to go corner. I took my top corner for them, basically.
See, for me, I would do the same. I think I might go wide receiver here, but I think they're stupid and they're going to overdraft a quarterback is what I'm thinking.
So which quarterback are you giving them?
I think they will. If they're not taking a quarterback here, chances are they're thinking for like a Shedeur or a Ewers or something like that next year, because they're. I mean, you could go after Rattler, I guess, later, but if they're not taking a quarterback here, I think they go with like maybe a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I don't think they anticipate either one of Bowers or Odunze falling to them. So I think them these high ends like wide receiving option guys, like I think it kind of changes their board a little bit where they need these guys. They specifically need wide receiver. Like I know people like Marvin Mims, but it's like he did nothing in the year, right? So it's interesting.
So this is.
I'm going to give the Broncos credit and assume that they're not going full on Artard here, and I'm going to give them Rome Odunze.
Yeah, I think you just take the best player. And you just
No. I think they're going to take Bo Nix, but I'm going to give them Rome Odunze because I'm going to assume they're not morons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, take Bo Nix here. The quarterback's a glaring need, and this wide receiver class is very deep, right? So, but I mean, Odunze's falling. This starts to raise. Like who I think at this point with Odunze at 12, who's trading up for Odunze at this point?
Yes, somebody,
right?
Because like there's enough teams that have wide receiver need, like we talked about. Like somebody could make it. Like you could talk Jacksonville being like, "Holy smoke, Jerome Odunze's there," Denver is such an obvious trade down
Could you-
partner. Like they need to move
Could
down.
you
because they-
imagine in this scenario, the Cardinals trade up from 27 and they leave with Odunze and Marvin Harrison?
right.
Oh,
Well, like this is kind of my thought process with the
Oh.
Cardinals. Like if you're able to trade back to 11 or 12 where the Vikings are kind of at, and if someone does fall like an offensive skill position player, you're getting a massive draft capital on top of it. So instead of taking Marvin Harrison Jr., you trade down to 11, 12, you get Odunze plus, right? Like that just sets you up. And they already have like 10 picks in this year with a bunch being in the top 3 rounds. But like going this route just sets you up even further. So I think the Cardinals are an interesting team if they don't take Harrison and actually do trade
You
back.
know what? I'm going to let him fall. I'm going to take the quarterback here. And
Oh,
then I'm
no.
assuming either someone with the Saints is going to take Odunze or I'll take him with the Colts. So let's go Knicks.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Spicy. Over Penix?
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So this one's gonna shake it up.
Yeah,
this
they're
is already shaking up. Hold on.
Oh, Bo Nix coming out of left field. Let's go. All right. So
Oh.
this is back
So-
to SC. Good.
Hi-
Good luck with the Raiders.
Yeah, this gets crazy now because now you're just flies are dropping here. But okay, with Bo Nix going 12 overall, where is he in your rookie drafts? Back in the
Still not
first?
with the Broncos team, I am not taking him in the first round. I'm not doing
But
He's still sixth. It
that.
yeah,
doesn't change anything. It just means
Oh.
that the Broncos are going to be finding a new GM soon.
but
Well,
you don't think they take him? You don't take him at the end of the first, knowing he's starting like with that first round capital in the 5th year option.
This is kind of reminds me of Pennick or with Pickett a couple of years ago, where people are like, "Yeah, you got to take him the first round," and I'm like, "I don't know about that one, man." But he's going 12. That's a lot higher than Pickett went, so you could make the case like they're going to be tied to him for a long time. So if you want to play that game and you want to trade him a year later, I hate the skill position players they have there. Like that offense scares the crap out of me. No matter unless they get a high end quarterback. Like if we're doing Bo Nix in that scheme, like he probably fits what Sean Payton wants to do. But man, I'm just terrified of it. To tell you the truth.
That's fair. That's fair.
Who's on the clock with the Raiders?
the
You gonna take-
Raiders.
You going to take Penix here?
Because they do have a lot of
Man,
other needs. Too.
They have AOC, they have Minshew, right? So it's like this becomes very difficult.
I mean, and they're like as far as skill position players, they're pretty good at like tight end. They took Mayer last year. Wide receivers, they have Adams. They have my favorite guy, Jacoby Meyer. Like they're okay at those positions. Like I don't think that they have to go offensive skill position player. There are other needs that they have, like we talk about with guard, tackle, or defense. They have a lot of like, and the defense was good, but like still have needs there.
So Penix gets to 13 and Bo Nix goes, and we have 4 quarterbacks off the board? No, 5 off the board now, right?
Yeah, there's been
In
5
this
quarterbacks.
scenario, you don't have to do it because I know it's difficult on here, but the Vikings would trade up and get Penix at this scenario. You know, that's just I think they're not gonna risk that. They're gonna have to give everything because if the Raiders are here, there's a chance they take them. The Vikings can wait. But I think they're gonna do everything they can to say, "Hey, we're gonna trade up." Because I think the Raiders can bluff here and say, "Look, man, we're gonna look at taking Penix here," you know, and that's gonna force them to move their hand. Because Sam Darnold, let's just be real, he's not gonna be the guy. So I think in this scenario, the Vikings trade up, and so let's go Penix just to get him off the board because I think he would be off the board. I think he's the pick.
All right. So this would be a very spicy NFL draft. Like you can imagine the Twitter streets would just be raging with
He's out of 13 picks.
Knicks. Like I don't think this is how this plays out, but it's just fascinating to watch. The team that is probably the most offensive tackle needy is the Saints. Like they have the ghost of Ramczyk with a broken tackle, like his broken knee, and then they have Trevor Penning, who basically has been an outright disaster for them. So they
Take
have the
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, they take an offensive tackle. Like they desperately need
Do
it.
it.
I'm giving them Fatanu. Like I'm not even fucking around. If they have a chance where one of these high-end tackles falls to them, they're thanking the gods because they so desperately need a tackle. And so getting Fatanu here, I think, is just an absolute win for the Saints. So we're not even going to play around. We're just going with the pick, like yes. Which leaves interesting because we've been mocking, a ton of people have been mocking this the Colts to getting a skill position player. And look who's available for them. Odunze and Bowers, right? So it's basically pick your poison with those two guys.
Fuck that. You should have gone Rattler.
There's no fucking way I'm taking Rattler.
I think there's a possibility Rattler sneaks in the second round. If someone takes him in the first, so wow.
I'm joking.
Wow.
Joking. I'm not taking Rattler. So that puts me on the clock here. This is an obvious pick, right? It's Roma Dunze without.
I mean,
they sprint to the podium to say Roma Dunze.
100%.
Okay, Roma Dunze.
Yeah, absolutely. Now SC has the Seahawks. Where are we going here, SC? What are we doing with the Seahawks?
Yeah,
I see a guy that fits them so well.
I think you got to go with an edge rusher here, right? Turner's still on the board.
Yeah, nobody's taking Turner's right there, and so it's like, so they have they need a defensive tackle. You could go Murphy, or you can go edge. You go Turner. You go Verse. Like they can even take Fashanu like tackle.
I was gonna say I have Fashanu listed as my pick for them.
Yeah, I don't think he get like if he falls to them. I think that's the pick. But yeah, getting a high end defensive guy like we talk about with Turner, I think that's a win for them too.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I think at this point Turner. I mean, but I think you'll get offensive line later. You know, in the edge rushers. There's a huge gap in the tiers for them. So Turner dropping here. I mean, we're talking about gifts all day. Like I said, it's Christmas, so you go Turner here.
Yeah, there's enough like talent that like this guy falling to them is just like they're like thank you whoever like, and maybe it could be Latu, it could be one of those guys that they like, right? But
I think it could be. And I think it could be argued Verse too. But I just think Turner being a projected top 10 and dropping to 16, I think they're gonna jump all over that.
I think so too. I don't think they would trade back in this scenario. They're just gonna take it because
they
need it.
Coming out of Alabama's last Nick Saban and roster, I think you want to jump on that.
So it gets the Jaguars are an interesting one for me because I know everyone's talking about wide receiver, but if you're getting one of the high end corners falling to them with DeJean or Arnold, I think that's a massive win for them because their corners, they have one decent corner, but outside of that, it's a little bit kind of like they need a guy and they're going to be playing a ton of man coverage, which you need the corners to do that, right? So like you can't mess around. You could take an edge guy if you want here, but I think Arnold seems like he's their guy from what I've heard. So I'm going to give them Arnold, even though I think DeJean's the better corner. I'm just going to give them Arnold, the guy who, as everybody's loved in the process, Kool-Aid was the guy there, but this last year Arnold kind of passed him where it was like, no, Arnold's a quarterback one there. So I'm going to give them their top cornerback in Terran Arnold and just run to the bank and count that because that's free money for the Jags we're talking about.
I think with the roster they have too, I mean, you can afford to go get a wide receiver later. I know Thomas Jr. they want him, right? But you still have Kirk. You still have like Gabe Davis now. Parker Washington started coming out a little bit. You can get a guy later. So I think that's a smart pick.
So we kind of run the dream scenario for the Bengals where Brock Bowers is
second straight pick. It's an easy one, and it's Brock Bowers. Second time in a row for me. It's like, position of need, best player on the board who fell. Yep, Brock Bowers at 18 to the Bengals. It is.
And the Rams are getting their guy falling to them. Like, I think there's a dream guy in the middle of the defensive line that's falling right to them where they're like, that's our guy too. So I think this is kind of working out very well. In this draft, we get Bowers and then SCU with the Rams. Like, you can take your guy here, whoever you want it to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think you go Murphy here. Yeah, I think that's a big one. I like Jerjon Newton too. That's someone that I've posted there, but Murphy's risen the draft boards, and I think he's just a big buy that can just lock it down and close in the gaps there. Jerry Verse is also someone here. Either way, Newton, Murphy, or Jerry Verse are going one of them. I'm gonna take Murphy.
That was my question. If you sort it by defensive end, who's the best edge rusher left? Is it Verse? Latu's gone, right? Is Verse? I had Verse and Chop.
Verse is ranked 19 for them, and then Chop is a little ways down. The next edge guy is all right. I'm just going to position. Let's find out. See.
I know a lot of people love
Isaac. Is actually.
I have Verse or Chop as my top two options for them. Who did you go with, SC?
Murphy.
You gotta take.
I know. Chop. A lot of people like him. They like his speed, but man, that's what I'm talking about. That teardrop is there. I think Verse is the top three, and then you have a gap there.
100%. Like if you go lock in a guy, because like I like Chop too. He's the freak athlete, but he's definitely a project. And so yeah, I think it gets interesting here with the Steelers. I know people want to give them a wide receiver, and I don't mind going wide receiver, but dude, getting a tackle here is a massive need for them as well. And like we talk about the tackle run, this is how this draft's gonna go, where we can see upwards of like 8 to 10 tackles going in the first round. So you could take Mims, who is more of the upside shot, or you could take Fashanu, who I think is just a much safer guy. I'm going to give them Fashanu and just lock him into tackle, even though there is some smoke about Mims. He only has like 8 starts. Like I really do. Like it just scares the crap out of me going with Mims. So I'm going to go Fashanu, lock in the guy I'm more sure about for the Steelers because They need to tackle big time.
Mims is just like what? He's a giant. He's like 7 feet tall and like
yeah,
a
Mims is a
ton,
mountain.
weighs a ton. So it's
Dude, have you
like,
seen his figure? He's like the old school bodybuilder where it's like a V. Like, he's
yeah,
super huge on top, and then he's just skinny. And I'm like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, and I'm with Ryan. Like the fact, like that seems to be the guy they're going with, but I just gave them the guy who I thought was a better tackle, and I was like, we're gonna go up a little bit, and we're gonna take him. But yeah, I think they're going tackle as well. The Saints desperately need it, so yeah, he could definitely go there tonight.
Dolphins on the clock here, huh? Oh no, it's you, Aaron. My bad.
Can you bring up the best offensive guards on the board? I
Yes.
think I know who I'm taking. They're
Because they just have as interior offensive line. So
their rankings are different. Okay, who's gone? Barton's already gone. Fatanu's
No,
gone. You said
Barton's
Fatanu-
not gone.
Barton's still Barton. Yeah, Barton might be. What is Barton? Is he a tackle?
IOL. He's
Yeah.
IOL on here.
He's tackle
sorry,
on
yeah.
this. Barton's right here. If you want to go with Barton.
I do. I want to go Barton. I have him listed as a guard. I don't know why they have him as a tackle.
Yeah, he can kind of play all the positions.
Maybe
So
I'm
I
wrong.
think
I'm going Graham Barton. There's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
like
they
that.
need a guard and a tackle based on their needs. So
so he's the perfect pick for them. I think.
Okay, Barton it is, man. Barton it is.
All right.
We had Latham go at 5, didn't we? Oh no, we had all okay.
Latham went at where did Latham?
He
go?
went early. He was top
Yeah,
6 or something.
He went at 7.
He went 7. Yeah, to the Titans.
He
yeah.
says, "Does it say Ryan says this is which Eagles at 5 instead of
Yeah.
all?" Yeah, possible. So who we got? We got the Eagles here.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
Hello.
is Tyrion still on the board?
No, I think we took Terrion. Terrion Arnold
Okay.
went to the Jags at 17, which
Okay.
means Cooper DeJean falling to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Feels like that's money.
So I think this is just that's something that no brainer. They're gonna just take the guy.
Yeah,
Go-
like they
just-
it's no surprise. It's like, yeah, just go get a freak athlete who could play corner. Like it's weird. I don't know why people project him really as safety. He did not play much safety. Like he's very much a corner, and I think maybe just because he's a white guy, they're like, nah, you're gonna play safety. But he's a good corner, man. I like him.
Yeah,
Okay.
he lined up in the safety a little bit, but yeah, he's mostly on the corner.
All right. Like it gets interesting, right? Because the Vikings, with them taking, I'm blanking on who they took. We took Quinyon Mitchell at corner. I'm gonna solidify the defense. We could go D tackle, which is also a need, or we can go edge. I'm gonna actually take Newton here, the defensive tackle, and lock him up from that pick. And just those are the 2 end building blocks you're getting if you can't get quarterback right. You get Quinyon Mitchell in the back end, and you get Newton on the front, and then you're really just controlling how the defense plays.
So,
And they're setting this roster up for 25 and beyond. You obviously need a quarterback, but like I think we're going to push quarterback because I really do not. Oh, Penix is available. You could go him.
So the Vikings have left
No.
the first round with no quarterbacks and 2 defensive players. Their fans are gonna hate this.
no, so also though, okay, so in the scenario I had with the Raiders, I think I took Penix there, right? So I said this will be the time that the Vikings trade up to the Raiders to get Penix.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if this is the Raiders, is it still that pick?
It gets a little bit different, right? Because the Raiders have a few needs where it's like they need interior defensive linemen, which actually fits them. You could go tackle, guard, or you can go, because like Mims is another good pick. Raiders, they don't really need a wide receiver, so it's basically just like I think they take the best defensive player on the board here.
Knowing
right?
the Raiders, they'll draft a running back.
So,
Just saying.
yeah, I think Newton works for either of these teams. So if we wanted to go to the Raiders, they could fit there. If we wanted to go to the Vikings right here, I think we would fit. So I think we'll just say that it's the Raiders pick. We're gonna go Newton here, and we're gonna lock in the interior defense tackle for them.
Newton and Crosby in the Raiders. Oh,
Yeah, on top of the guy they just spent Christian Wilkins, like they brought him in the building too. So like you're building that defense, and it's looking nice. They were like a top 5 defense in half the year last year. Like they were really good.
The sad thing is, like the AFC West isn't like run heavy. I mean, I guess you have Carbro there now that can possibly make it run, but you have quarterbacks there. But those quarterbacks are gonna live in fear with those 3 guys there.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be terrorizing them for a while. All right. So Aaron, who are you thinking here with the Cowboys? Where
I want to do the most Jerry Jones thing ever and draft a running back here, but I'm not. I'm going to take Amarius Mims, the tackle, because that's the most Jerry Jones thing ever to like draft Trey Benson. No, Jonathan Brooks, a running back with a torn ACL. That's who Jared will take in the first. But no, we're going Mims.
Yeah, safe pick. I like it. Yeah, makes the most sense. All right, Essie, what are the Packers doing? Because I feel like they have a really good roster and they kind of don't have a ton of needs. Where are you thinking this team goes?
Yeah, I think you just go offensive line here. So you just got to protect Love, do what you can. The wide receivers start to glare here, right? Because it's like man, you can't do it. But I really think they're still living in that. We don't need them. I mean, I think Jaden Reed came out really good. Tavia Wicks, late round guys. You still have Christian Watson there. You still have Romeo Dubs. Jordan Love looked phenomenal with those weapons. So I don't think you necessarily need to ruin that chemistry right now. So I think you're going with one of the guys in Tyler Guyton possibly for it. Let me see the top off the board.
For
linemen.
tackles, we got Morgan Guyton. If
Oh.
you want to go interior, they have it's like Jackson Paris Johnson, Frazier, Haynes,
or love
so like that.
JPJ, but I think Guyton's a great pick here.
All right,
So we'll go Tyler Guyton.
Yeah, where is he? He's right there out of Oklahoma, the tackle. Yeah, I expect him to go in the first round. And I think the Packers have been really good about rebuilding that offensive line over the last few years where they like reconstructed it. It's a lot younger. It's one of the younger offensive lines in the NFL. So adding another high-end player to the offensive line just helps shore up. I think that's a great pick. Now, this leaves the Bucs in a weird spot, right? Because you could go interior, and I think I'll probably take JPJ here. But like they have needs all over the place. Like we could go Nate Wiggins, but man, that dude is skinny. I don't really want to trust that. McKinstry would be another good pick, or we could just go wide receiver, but
You'll think Verse possibly?
Yeah, I forgot Verse was there. I think if Verse falls to them, they'll probably just take him. Like he's a guy that's been so highly touted in the process. Like I think if they sit and they don't trade up for 26, like I think we're just gonna go Verse here. We're just not gonna mess around. We'll just take him. The edge rusher.
Florida.
And, yeah, like it's like, hey buddy, come on, just a few drive.
Yeah.
All right, the Cardinals. They got Mario Harrison Jr., right? So what do they do at 27 here? They took the high-end wide receiver. Where are you going?
Every wide receiver outside the top 3 is still on the board. This is draft day, ladies and gentlemen. It gets crazy, and not saying our picks come to life, but they might. And we may see a scenario like this where it gets crazy and every wide receiver is still available for the Cardinals.
Yep.
I've heard Adonai Mitchell is actually off a lot of draft boards, so
I guess we'll find out.
Wide receiver, hey, do they stack 2 first-round wide receivers?
Man,
I think, in fact, they are going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson, center out of Oregon.
Which leaves us to Buffalo, and they're getting the guy that is the borderline X wide receiver right on the board, staring them in the face. Do they go Adonai Mitchell here? Do they go Brian Thomas Jr. here? Or do they go different position?
I personally love Adonai Mitchell, but I think if Brian Thomas Jr. here falls to them, they're going to go ahead and get him instead. I just think that's just, he's a little bit, I guess they're about the same size there. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. with Josh Allen there is just going to be a match made in heaven, just a field stretcher for them. They can get someone else that can play opposite of him later down the road if you want. But I think Thomas Jr., just what he did and what Josh Allen could do with him. They love his tape and love that he's touchdown machine this past year. So I think they're going to go over him. Personally, I would say Adonai, but I think Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I wouldn't shock me to see Adonai go above Brian Thomas. Like I think they're so closely viewed that one of them maybe gets bumped up. Like Jacksonville seems to be a spot where that could happen. But yeah, like I think Brian Thomas is just a great pick for Buffalo at 28. Like it's hard to find guys that talented at that spot. Like
I like Adonai better as like a route runner, but I think Brian Thomas is better when it comes to catching those high points and just being the ball control when it's in the air.
Yeah, he's awesome downfield, which works well with Josh Allen, right? Like he's basically taking Gabe Davis and just being a better version of Gabe Davis, a guy who can do a little bit more and that's more explosive. So I think this is a weird spot for the Lions, right? Like they need edge, they need corner. So I think we could go edge here. But I'm just going to take Kool-Aid because he's just fallen to the point where I think it's a value. So I think the Lions definitely need back-end help. We saw this towards the end of the season in the playoffs. Like they were getting torched in the back end because they were rolling out guys that just – you should not be starting on championship caliber roster. So them picking between Wiggins and Kool-Aid, I think there's been a little bit more smoke of Kool-Aid to the Lions. So I'm going to take him right here. Lock in another guy to the back end to help them for their championship pitch this year. So we're going to give him Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now the Ravens. Aaron, where are you going with the Ravens?
Well, naturally, every year the Ravens are going to draft a wide receiver, and there's, a bunch of great wide receivers on the board. So, let's see. Who's the best guard on the board?
What? Interior offensive line. It's Haynes out of Connecticut.
So that's a no. Who's the best tight end? Because that's the Ravens thing. They'll draft a first-round tight end.
Jalen Sanders, baby.
I'm not doing that. What do we got left for edge?
I think there's a couple guys. Isaac, Chop Robinson. There's some good ones.
I was really just joking around, and I was going to take the receiver, but Chop Robinson is enticing.
Yeah, like you can go either one of those guys.
Well, they also, you have to factor in, they just signed Rashad Bateman to an extension. I think they may be set at wide receiver, and the Ravens are going to take Adonai Mitchell.
There you go. Yeah, makes sense. That's a need. Like it's weird. Like Bateman's kind of playing that stretch position field for him, and that's not his specialty where he's playing downfield. So I think you do this, you turn Adonai into the deep threat. You let Zay Flowers work underneath, and then Bateman, if he's healthy, can play the middle of the field, do a lot of things. So I think getting rid of OBJ, the ghost of everyone else there, that just is not that good. I think Adonai Mitchell works a lot well and gives Lamar another capable pass catcher. And with Andrews coming back from his injury, maybe takes a little bit of time, right? And then you get another wide receiver. So yeah, like I hate that for fantasy, but I think it's good for NFL. So this is a good pick.
Assuming that happens, who do you think has a better year, Adonai or Zay?
Zay, I'm more confident what he did, and like he's gonna live more underneath and get the easier like routes and targets. So for fantasy, I think it's Zay. I think he's a good player. I liked him last year. I like what he did, and if they can expand on that, then yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I like Adonai a lot, but I'm a little bit nervous. Like I think if don't know what happens.
If Adonai goes to the Ravens, I think he drops out of the first round because I think right now you have him in like first round rookie draft. So if he goes to the Ravens, he drops out. San Fran on the clock. Now, this becomes interesting, too, because you have someone like Worthy there, rumors of, Brandon Ayuk possibly being traded. You have Franklin there. So it's like, do you go after a wide receiver or do you go and get like an offensive lineman, just continue to beef up that line as they want to do there? Ladd McConkey is also something that's very interesting there.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Because we got Frazier, we got Michigan, we got Jordan Morgan if they want to go tackle. Then there's edge rushers like both the Penn State guys, Keon Coleman, Roman Wilson. Like there's Fisk who's been getting some like potential, and then there's my guy Ricky Pearsall a little later. But they got options for wherever they want to go here. Like this is not a bad spot to be if you're the 49ers.
I think Newman's there too, and I don't think Wilson goes in the first.
I have the Niners taking a tackle. Is Guyton still on the board?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's gone. No, all the tackles I had are gone. So
I think if they go, it's going to be
Morgan.
Interior. Yeah, he's available if you want to go tackle. I'll just pull him up on this list because he is the top guy right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. But I'm also looking at Ladd, to be honest, with the assumption that they may get rid of Ayuk. It's Debo Ayuk. Who's their third?
They'll really have Jennings. Jennings would be Jennings. But it's basically going to be Kittle. Like it just.
Could you see them? Okay, where did Odunze go?
Odunze went to. He was a little bit earlier. I do not remember it's the Colts.
Could you see them trading their pick? Okay, so the Niners are at what 31 and Ayuk to trade up to get Odunze? That's too much, right?
That seems expensive, man. Like you're giving up such a good player. Yeah, like because you'd have to the Colts have to.
So you'd have to get what, a second back, a third back?
Yeah, you have to get a second.
But yeah, if Odunze does fall, like someone's going to jump up for him. I don't know who it is. Someone's going to try and make a push because he's that good of a wide receiver.
If they don't, or they get like a offensive lineman here for them, to trade up too. Like you mentioned, if they're not getting just 2 picks for Ayuk too, you trade that first and Ayuk plus to move up, and then you get a guard here. Man, let's just. I say let's go Ladd. And then what's gonna happen here is Ayuk's not traded yet. So now people start going in frenzy and they're like, oh shit, like what?
Yeah, the Chiefs are like, hey, I'll give you pick 32 for Ayuk. Like, what do you say? Yeah. They might not give him to the Chiefs because they're like, fuck the Chiefs, but you know what I'm saying? Like this could be the situation where you have this pick on the board, people come down. Like, I think Franklin fits the best of the wide receivers because they need someone that's gonna push it downfield. Like Rashee Rice, unless he gets a significant suspension, which I don't think he's gonna get. Like, they're not gonna go with the. Like, I like Ladd a lot, but I think they want somebody who can stretch the field downfield. That's where Ladd struggles. It's kind of like contested catches downfield a little bit. So I don't really want to put him in that role. I think Franklin could work out well, but man, it's another guy question mark.
You didn't see, I forget which coach it was. You didn't see one of their coaches earlier in the week?
What do you mean?
Their most talented receiver on the roster is Kadarius Toney.
Oh, yeah. That stuff.
Just saying.
Or we had I got by the fake Schefter where they were talking about Brennan Bean was saying that one of their wide receivers was top 5 in the NFL. And I go, the hell? And I was like, it's a fake Schefter.
With Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
All right, let's make this last pick so we have a little bit of time before our mock draft in 45. So
I'm just going to give him Troy Franklin. We're going to lock it up. All right, here's our draft. So let's see. Oh, there's rewards, huh? Fun stuff. Here's how the first round went out. Start Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. Then we get Marvin Harrison, Joe Alt, Jaden Daniels. It really gets interesting with Latham. He's the tackle. And then Latu, Neighbors, and Fuaga. What stands out to you guys about the top 10 really quick?
Jaden Daniels falling to 6.
Oh, Dunjay falling out.
Yeah, I think both of those things. The Jets seem like a pivot point where wherever they go, it kind of changes the draft, right? If they go wide receiver, it's going to like force those tackles down a little bit. If they do tackle, it's going to force Odunze down or whoever falls, right? And then it makes it an interesting draft because it's not like the Vikings need a guy there. And you see them go Mitchell and then the quarterback with Nix and then Michael Penix, where it's just like, man, this reminds me of that draft 2 years ago where it was like Ponder and Jake Locker and those guys going in that spot. And you're just like, did not work out for those teams. So hopefully it works out better for the Broncos and the Raiders. But yeah. Oh, look at this. 3 Washington players in a row. I didn't even notice it. Troy Fatanu goes to the Saints. Rome Odunze goes to the Colts. That's a dream spot. Dallas Turner, the Seahawks at 15. Then we get Arnold, Jaguars, Bowers, Murphy, and Fashanu around the top 20. I want to count how many tackles we have because it feels like we have like 10 tackles in this draft. Like, no joke. But Barton falls to the Dolphins 21. DeJean
We have at least 7 that I can see on the board right now.
I'm going to count these really quick.
8.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, a lot of tackles. I think the over-under is like 8.5 or 9.5, so we're going to see a lot of them. But, I mean, overall, this feels fairly possible, and we're probably going to be very wrong with how this goes out. But I can see a lot of this playing out. It's just maybe a few of these guys move around a little bit where we got like –
it's interesting, too, what, 4 out of the last 5 picks become wide receivers in our scenario?
Yeah, like – and those are more of the teams that also need wide receiver, too. Like, we get to – the Bills, we talk about the Cardinals, the Lions need a guy, the Ravens, all these good teams need a wide receiver. Where we get into more of these middle teams, like the Dolphins don't really need a wide receiver. The Rams don't really need a wide receiver. Cincinnati at the moment doesn't need a wide receiver. So you get kind of these guys where they get push up the tackles in the interior and then the wide receivers kind of fall at the back end, which makes a lot of sense where it fits the needs, right?
Yeah, if you're Cincinnati, is there a scenario where you trade Higgins for a back end first to like the Chiefs or maybe the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they're looking for. I don't know if they're going to get it or not, but I think either him or Ayuk gets traded. Like one of those guys seems like they get traded. It makes a lot more sense, right, for the 49ers because they have more skill position players. If the Bengals trade Higgins, then it's just Jamar Chase, and it's like
that's true.
Maybe they can do that. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Bowers falling to 18. I think that's again Christmas, man. We gave out gifts, NFL, you're welcome. Yeah. Like we just gave out gifts left and right to some teams.
You can tell he's been the hardest guy like to project for Bowers and all that. But yeah, this is just he's gonna end up somewhere in the spot. I have no idea where, but it's really hard to put the tight end because it's really hard to find that positional need.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, I think that's a wrap. Let's we will be back at 2:00 in about 40 minutes for a mock draft. Head over to I'll tweet it out actually in a minute. We've still got 2 or 3 open spots in 45 minutes or 40 minutes if anyone wants to join us. Then we'll be back at 3:30 for some veteran landmines we're trying to trade last minute here. Obviously, you got like 5-6 hours before the draft. And then we'll be back live tonight from 8 to 11 with giveaways galore. So head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com for the last minute check in on the profiles here for your last minute info, but basically stay tuned to us on Twitter and YouTube all day. We are going to be active. We will see you in about 40 minutes. Like I said, if you're not into our draft, join us. We have 1, 2, 3 spots left for about 40 minutes from now. I'll tweet that out right when we're done the show. We will see you guys again in 40 minutes. For Aaron, Jesse, and SC, thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Universe.